Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you today? I hope that you are always fine everywhere and every time. Amin. Okay, guys, so let's continue our discussion today in assessment class. So, today we are going to discuss about validity analysis, and it will be delivered by Alief Jauhar Mujadid. Let's check it out. Okay, guys, in this occasion, in this discussion of validity analysis, we have three sections. The first is introduction, the second is types of validity, the third is test in validity. Let's come to the first section, that is introduction. Every book and article on language testing deals to some extent with validity. It is the central concept in testing and assessment. But this positioning implies that validity inquiry is something that is done after a test or assessment has been written and is in use. In the first chapter, we are going to investigate the concept of validity. Here, I have an analogy that is about love. Because one of real problem of human is about love. For example, does she or he love me? Because of this condition, we are going to do something like maybe we make a poetry or maybe just make songs. The concept of love is one that is virtually impossible to define, which is why it generates so much poetry and nearly every song ever written. The validity questions a person faces when asking this question is on the basis of what this person says and does. Can I infer a set of feelings, some attitudes that I will justify me in taking decision which, if I get wrong, could lead to unwanted or potentially a big disaster. It's like in teaching language. If we teach language, automatically we have to give them a test or assessment. After that, after giving a test or assessment, we have to give validity analysis to our questions, or we will get a big problems because we don't know which question is it good, which question is bad for the students. We never know. So, in my opinion, we have to give validity analysis to our questions. And remember, validity is done after doing a test or assessment. The validity question faces a person when asking this question is on the basis of what this person says and does. Can I infer a set of feelings, some attitudes that will justify me in taking decision? The actions we intend to take on the basis of that inference. Back to the skill, abilities, or knowledge that any given test taker may have. This is you have to pay attention. The purpose of validity is to dispel or disappear the doubts, so that we can take action without the fear of making serious mistake. Validity in testing and assessment has traditionally been understood to mean discovering whether a test measures accurately what it is intended to measure. Let's come to the second section, that is three types of validity in early theory. The first type of validity in early theory is criterion-oriented validity. When considering criterion-oriented validity, the tester is interested in the relationship between a particular test and a criterion to which we wish to make prediction. What we have to underline here is what we are really interested in here is the creation. The validity evidence is the strength of the predictive relationship between the test score and that performance on the criterion. In this criterion-oriented validity is divided by two, predictive validity and concurrent validity. Predictive validity is the term used when the test scores are used to predict some future criterions, such as academic success. If the scores are used to predict a criterion at the same time the test is given, we are studying concurrent validity. The second type is content validity. Content validity is defined as any attempts to show that the content of the test is a representative sample from the domain that is to be tested. Characteristic of the content validity is using experts judge the item used on the test should result in response. It means that we have to give our question to the expert, like a teacher who has been teaching about 15 years, 10 years maybe. That's the expert. Carroll argued that achieving content validity in testing in English for academic purpose consisted of describing the test takers, analyzing their communicative needs, and specifying test content on the basis of their needs. The third type is construct validity. The first problem with construct validity is defining what a construct is. Perhaps the easiest way to understand the terms construct is to think of the many abstract nouns that we use on a daily basis. But this is to talk the level of everyday concepts. For a general term to become a construct, it must have two further properties. Firstly, it must be defined in such a way that it becomes measurable. In order to measure fluency, we have to state what we could possibly observe in speech to make decision about whether speaker is fluent. It turns out that many people have different definitions of fluency, ranging from simple speed of speech to lack of hesitation, or strictly pause because hesitation is a construct itself, to specific observable features of speech. Secondly, any construct should be defined such a way that it can have relationship with other constructs that are different. For example, if I generate description of fluency and anxiety, I may hypothesize that as anxiety increases, fluency will decrease, and in another hand. The next or the last part of the last section of this validity analysis is test invalidity. I don't know before, but the title in the book I read is Cutting the Validity Cakes. Maybe it is test invalidity. I don't know the title exactly. Maybe Mom Uni can give us advice for this one. In test invalidity, we have test usefulness. Bachman and Palmer have used the terms usefulness as a superordinate in place of construct validity to include reliability, construct validity, authenticity, interactiveness, and particularly they have argued that overall usefulness should be maximized in terms of the combined contribution of the test qualities that contribute to usefulness, and that the importance of each test quality changes according to the context. Reliability is the consistency of test scores across phases of the test. Authenticity is defined as the relationship between test task characteristics and the characteristics of tasks in the real world. interactiveness is the degree to which the individual test taker's characteristic, language ability, background knowledge, and motivation are engaged when taking a test, particularly in concern with test implementation rather than the meaning of test scores. The notion of test usefulness provides an alternative way of looking at validity, but it has not been extensively used in the language testing literature. The second in test validity is the validity decline. Chappell has characterized current approaches to validity. The first is traditional type theory. It is assumed that the construct to be tested is an attribute of the test taker. The test taker's knowledge and progresses are assumed that to be stable and real, and the test is designed to measure this. Score meaning is therefore established on the basis of the correspondence between this score and the actuality of the construct in the test taker. The second is new behaviorism. That approach the test score is mostly affected by context, such as physical setting, topic, and participants. These are typically called facets. In the language testing literature, in real-world communication, there is always a context, a place where the communication typically takes place, a subject, and people who talk. The third is pragmatic validity. What we call pragmatic validity is therefore dependent upon a view that in language testing there is no such thing as an absolute answer to the validity question. The role of the language tester is to collect evidence to support test use and interpretation that a larger community, the stakeholders, students, testers, teachers, and society accept, but this truth may change as new evidence comes to light. James in 1907 put it, truth happens to an idea through a process, and its validity is the process of its validation. Okay guys, that's all our discussion today and the material today about validity analysis. May it be useful for all of you, especially for me myself. And I do apologize if I have a lot of mistake in delivering this material, and I hope that Ma'am Yuni will guide us to the right way, because I do believe that I cannot give you a clear presentation today. Yeah, Ma'am Yuni, please guide us. And that's all from me, guys. Thank you so much. No ending without meeting, no closing without opening. Forgive me for everything because I'm just human being. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye. Hasta la vista.